It's time for Verbal Tap because people have lost their minds. The broadcast, I don't know if it was Troy Aikman, but somebody during the Seahawks-Packers game that was amazing said tonight, McGregor, the Irish Muhammad Ali fights. Raph, how are you doing, and how overdramatic is that statement?
I think it's pretty fair assessment. If you've never watched any kind of MMA ever before in your life, sure.
Okay, oh, there you go. Oh, nice burn in the background. I thought we were gonna have a night where you were just gonna disagree with me, regardless.
The night is young. Don't start me off. One.
I'm not starting you off. And how are you doing?
I'm fine. So maybe you don't know this if you're listening in, but Kevin and I are now on different sides of the United States watching Fox Sports Juan's telecast of UFC Fight Night from Boston, otherwise known as a regular night, but this time they're actually televising the fights.
Regular night, but we're going to do a little before-sies, after-sies. We're going to do a little... It's time for that famous segment we do called Before-sies,
After-sies. Unless you heard it the first time from Kevin, and it's Before-sies, After-sies?
It's hard to recreate that type of magic, Ref Esparza. That's why we do it hot. We do it live. Yep. Do you have any bold predictions for Uriah Hall versus something Stallings? Ron Choirboy Stallings.
Uriah Hall will kick Ron Stallings so hard that he will wake up thinking he is Lorenz Larkin.
Perfect. That is a great bold prediction. I think Uriah Hall might genuinely kick his head into the fourth row. Apart from his body, I'm worried. I don't know how trained this guy is in defending against machete kicks, but
machete. I think the hard part with Uriah is there's such great talent in him, and seeing him translate into the cage has been very difficult to see. But he's capable of stuff, so I guess that's why we're going to that nth degree to make. He's
going to retire afterwards too.
Oh, okay, sweet.
Remember how broken up it took him 2 years to get over the Sella face kick breathing saga. Can you imagine how it'll feel if he kicks a man's head off? It's going to be hard to look.
I don't know, but it's going to make
family in the face.
The best Mortal Kombat meme you've ever seen.
Oh my God, you're right. Sorry, I have been playing a little Mortal Kombat. Maybe that's seeping into my MMA coverage. Maybe. I'm not saying it definitely is. What about the Cowboy Cerrone versus Ben Henderson? Do you think – I'll start. They set the record for a touching glove sequence when it lasts 3.5 minutes into the first round.
That's not a bad prediction.
Intense eye contact. They just really give us the respect of martial arts live on Fox Sports 1.
There's been a lot of interesting playing up this week by Cowboy. Maybe because he's just that eccentric, but he definitely looked drunk at the weigh-ins yesterday.
He did look a little intoxicated. Yeah.
I guess if you've already made weight, I guess if you're him, you just kind of maintain. So what's a few Budweisers, he's a Budweiser guy, before you go into weigh-in? He seems like that kind of guy. Fights 6 times in 12 months, why not?
He's going to be super loopy from the weight cut. That's probably not very,
And honestly, I wanted to give the loopiness to the weight cut, but I was like, I'm not sure. He seems like the guy who would actually drink before a weigh-in. So he was a little eccentric. So here's my bold prediction for you, Kev. Benson Henderson will walk to the cage with toothpick in mouth. However, given the contract that he has signed with Donald Cerrone, Cerrone will be allowed to fight with Budweiser can in hand the entire fight.
Oh, that's definitely going to happen. That's a great bold prediction. That's 95th percentile. That's happening.
Because that's a great game, especially when you figure he does most of his punching and kicking with only 3 limbs. So what's the 4th one? That's your beer holding hand.
McGregor versus Siver, your bold prediction.
This one's a tough one because the best headline I heard is that the UFC is so in love with Conor McGregor, they have pimped him out to become the new media star, and Dana bros out with him every chance he gets. But somebody posed this one, and I'll get to my prediction after we discuss this, but somebody posed this and said, but what if Dennis Siver wins?
Ooh.
Like, how much of all of their hard work gets put for naught because, guess what? Dude ended up ruining and spoiling the party. He ruined Christmas.
Dennis Siver's German, meaning huge wild card every time he goes into any combat situation. Big wild card. Could win, could lose, but we don't know.
Yep. Okay. Here's my bold prediction for this fight. Conor McGregor in this fight wins via submission, and the move was talking. Like, Dennis Siver just gives up because Conor McGregor's run his mouth so much. He's like, you know what? I can't take it anymore. He's talked me into submission. I tap.
Not one more word.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad. I like that. I like the potential that yields. I have one for you that I think you're going to really enjoy. Dana White walks in with a case filled with $25,000.
I like it so far.
Empties it in the middle of the cage before it starts. Bruce Buffer lights up the biggest blunt he can and says, for the first time in sports history, this one's bare knuckle for all the cash in the cage. They strip off their gloves, they cut the tape, and they can do it like it's the 18th century.
Or they just fight like they do in Ireland. I guess the hard part for me is on this equation. Conor McGregor, he wears shades that are worth more than $25K. But so the honor of bare knuckle competition may be enough to draw him in.
It's an honor thing, obviously. The money's just so we can see people like bleeding on cash, and that's a better visual.
That's an interesting.
That's on top of the bonus.
I've never rolled on cash before, so I really don't know.
You think maybe it should be $200,000 if I'm like, maybe mine was an unreasonably bold prediction and it needed to be
let's put it this way. For those of us who work for a living, Kevin, that is a good amount of money. But for Dana White, that's not even like an hour at the tables in Vegas. So
that's toilet paper in a pinch type.
Absolutely. For a second, I thought you were going to say something to the fact of they put all the money in there and then they say, let's just do cocaine. Because we're really into this now, and let's just embrace it and fully go into it.
Well, I believe that's going to be the comment that takes us out of the beforesies and into these after Z's. Fuck Jesus me running. Christ. Let's just go to the next. We're going to go watch the fights.
All right, we'll watch the fights, but should we talk to somebody in between?
Oh, yeah. We could talk to somebody. Any idea who that's going to be? No, it's going to be Adam Lamp, who competed. I was
going to say that's so amazing. It's going to be. We've already recorded that. Don't fucking do that.
Let's pull out a list of names. No, we have a fun conversation with Adam in between, and we'll be back for the end of the fights.
Adam, just remember Kevin said that, not me.
Verbal Tap fans, if anything to keep Tim Kennedy from wanting to punch us for a lot of the comments we've made in between, we really wanted to reach out to someone that fought in the most recent Fort Bragg Combatives tournament. And if you don't know about Combatives, it's kind of been like a huge jiu-jitsu, wrestling, boxing, judo surge from the military and externally because of that program. Runs really closely. But we have someone I trained with a while back on the podcast, Adam Lamp. Adam, how are you doing this evening?
I am doing great. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
We appreciate you coming on. And Raph, he's perfected how to work jiu-jitsu moves with your dog.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, he's put some videos. You have a huge... How big is your Rottweiler? How big is she?
She is 95 pounds, a year and a half old.
What's that toy you use to work spider and lasso guard with her?
Yeah, it's just a chew toy that we have. There's like 3 holes on it, so it's pretty cool. I put my foot in and then, just, work my grips with her. She puts up with it.
It's also... Raph and I are jiu-jitsu junkies. That's how you know you're a jiu-jitsu junkie. If you've rigged up your dog's chew toy to help you work key guard passes, you officially might have an addiction.
Adam, if I can ask, what is the best strategy when rolling with the dog? Well, like, what are you like going for a single leg? Are you just going, are you pulling guard? I would hope you're not pulling guard against the dog.
She looks scary, but she really is a gentle giant. So I like to pull guard with her and just try and. She tries so hard to pass guard, so I just work on my inversions with her.
Talk about confusing a dog, especially when you start inverting. They're like, "Wait, I'm done being the pet here. I give it up."
Exactly.
I also would have to fact check this, Raph, but I think this is why Andre Galvão makes everyone at Atos also have a big dog that they can practice guard passes. I'll have to check that. But I think that's a rule when you join the Atos gym.
Yeah.
It's just all dog training. Talk to us about your military career. Which is first? Are you training jiu-jitsu pre-military or was combatives first? You're relatively young, so talk us through the timeline on how you are obviously serving in the military to be able to do the combatives tournament.
Yeah, for sure. When I graduated high school, I was 18. I've been in for 7 years now. But, I started with the combatives and basic training. I didn't do any previous martial arts and just kind of fooled around with it a little bit. I just fell in love with it. And really, about 2 years after that, I'd say, started training jiu-jitsu. And, was asked to go to I was asking to go to combatives level 1, combatives level 2, combatives level 3, and just fell in love with it, and from there just kind of ran with it.
Combatives level 3, by the way, how many times were you tased in the process?
Tased. So, well, it's crazy because they'll give you a knife that is also a taser, and you'll be rolling, and they'll randomly throw it in there, and like whoever, like, you just try and get it as fast as you can, and tase the other person. It's crazy how it works.
So let me see if I got that straight, because I want to make sure that I heard it the way I heard it. You're in the middle of rolling, and then zap. Is that a pretty fair summarization of that?
Exactly. They'll walk by the instructors and just kind of toss it towards you, and you just try to grab it before the other person does. And I was lucky enough that I had a guy not in a triangle by the time I got one of the tasers. So I was just like tasing his stomach, just like playing with him a little bit.
Oh.
So I think we finally found the way I can be good at jiu-jitsu.
I was gonna say, like, most people are sitting there thinking, God, the missing ingredient to jiu-jitsu was not random tasing ability. Like, that is not within shooting distance, but that would really spruce up a submission-only event. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it definitely would.
They're stealing the Bravo.
Oh my God, that's genius. At minute 10, tasers are allowed.
Oh.
Yeah, it definitely makes you, it changes the way you think about how to defend yourself, because especially, and that's actually something I learned in the combative tournaments, when you allow striking, it completely changes up your jiu-jitsu game. And that was kind of new for me when I was doing the combatives level 2 and level 3.
It's cool because they actually did just put up a video very similar, showing what happens when you add strikes in, just from around the internet, is one of the things that popped up today on my jiu-jitsu feed. And I thought that's so interesting because I never think about it. I never think like, oh man, I better break this guard because elbows are coming my way. It's like, it's such a nice relief, but at the same point, that's got to add another dimension to the speed in which you react and how you do that. Did all of those things start to help your game improve that much faster?
I'm sure we'll talk about it later, but my semifinal bout at this Combatives tournament, I got lit up by strikes, and it really just made me. I never realized how much of a game changer it was. I watch a lot of MMA, and I'm always like, when you're sitting on the couch, it's easy to say, oh, why isn't he going for this or that,
half guard,
and then yeah, and when you're getting hit, you realize that everything kind of just goes out of your mind,
And explain this to us, and I think this is a good way to foray into your Combatives tournament. Which round, what's the process of that like? Because you have to get deep in the tournament for strikes to count, it sounds like.
Yeah, so the way that it was set up over a 3-day tournament. First day is just like a jiu-jitsu tournament. You start standing, no strikes. They don't allow, like bicep slicers, stuff like that. They don't allow, heel hooks. So it's pretty similar to like a lower level jiu-jitsu tournament. I had 2 matches that day, and my expectation was I just want to go in there and not lose a jiu-jitsu match. So I felt good. Like I won the first day, my first 2 matches, and then the way it kind of progresses is the second day is the semifinal bouts. And the way they're set up is you have open hand, slaps or palms to your face, punches to the body, and kicks to the head and body, as well as jiu-jitsu rules. So
getting pretty close to full MMA at that point. Getting really close.
It's really close, and the thing is, it's completely different getting punched with a glove and getting palmed in the face. I was kind of shocked at it. It kind of stunned me a little bit. I was in working guard, and it wasn't probably the smartest thing to do, and I was taking a lot of shots, with open palm. But and then the way the finals bouts is in a cage, and it's a full MMA bout.
Yeah, and for some people, that's started their UFC career. A lot of people fight in this. Just to give people an idea, we're not talking about just solely your local BJJ tournament. These guys are athletes. They're all active duty military, hanging out and doing a lot of training. So our hats off to you, because I think it's really impressive. You're more of a jiu-jitsu fighter. That's a tough adaptation to make. And it sounds like you, at least from seeing some of the posts, that you were sort of prepared and then didn't maybe know that strikes were so early. Is that a fact?
Yes. From what I was told, and obviously I guess you can't go off of that alone, but I was told that the first round is combatives level 1, which is you start on your knees. So it's jiu-jitsu, but you start on your knees. So that's I was told that was the first day. Second day is takedowns are allowed, and then for the finals is a MMA fight. That was kind of how I was explained, when I first signed up or was thinking about doing it. And then when I came in for the semifinals, came in that second day, and they started going over the rules in the beginning. That's when I realized, wow, I'm not prepared for this, because I wasn't expecting strikes on that day. I was expecting strikes for the finals bout. But it kind of worked in my favor, because the semifinals, you still have your ACU top on, your Army uniform top on, so it kind of helped me with my jiu-jitsu, where in the finals, it's like a T-shirt.
So gi
or a rash. Yeah.
That's awesome. I think it speaks to your jiu-jitsu. And Raph, you tell me, you're showing up to roll one night, and all of a sudden they're like, by the way, it's open palm slapping in this tournament, so just heads up. But I think it speaks to your jiu-jitsu that you were like, I could survive. Let's make it happen. Hey,
yeah,
got
no
a
shit.
Coat on.
I guess I've never had, and Kevin, maybe your experiences are different in your life. I've never had another grown man slap me in the face with the intent of, by the way, this is a jiu-jitsu roll. So, never having had that happen to me. I'm pretty sure the first time it would happen, it'd just be a shock. You just slapped me. You son of a bitch.
There was a shock factor there, honestly. But at the same time, a year ago when I was in level 3, we did train that. So I was kind of used to it. It was just a year since I've done it. So it kind of took me back a little bit. Like, okay, I need to, remember how I did, a year ago in level 3 combatives and kind of adapt to it as best I can. But, once I was out there, and like you said, once I was getting hit or slapped, everything kind of almost like technique went out the window. I just kept thinking I need to get it to the ground as soon as possible here.
Yeah. But it's still another grown human being slapping you. Like, I would have
had a cry fit. It would have been like, hold on, I need a quick 30 to get the tears out because this is very stressful. I'll be right back.
The difference is I would expect a punch in my life. Like, I get that. A slap is just a response for me that will be like, how dare you? I didn't defend your family. What's this about?
It's like everyone that I talked to, they were like, man, I got so frustrated. I just would have tore into them. And, it's funny because for me, it was kind of like the opposite. Like once I was getting slapped, I was kind of like, I don't know, I realized in that moment without training, strikes, because it wasn't just the slaps, it was the kicks to the body. And, it was, I realized that's not what I want to do. It was like when I was getting slapped, I'm like, I want to stick to jiu-jitsu. So, it was kind of it was a unique situation. I was glad to be a part of it, though.
And they're just not anybody slapping you. These are people who are highly trained and pretty strong. Pretty strong, would you say?
For sure motivated. There's a lot of motivation.
And that's one of the things that if you ever competed against someone that's in the military in a jiu-jitsu tournament, they're always the ones that have the most determination to win. They're just they just grind it, the forearms to the face. Yeah. They just have the meanest jiu-jitsu because that's how you have to have that mindset. If you're deploying, you have to have that mindset of this isn't a match for fun. This is like life and death. So that's how they train every day. So me, I'm in the Army National Guard. So I'm going into their territory against the guy that I fought in the semifinal bout was from the 82nd Airborne. So he's active duty, and I'm in their room, I was at the 82nd Invitational. So, it was like everyone is against me, and it's kind of, just you got to be tough to go in that situation, win or lose, and you're going to get a tough match with them guys.
Raph was hitting on it earlier. How much does to go from that environment to your jiu-jitsu environment, how much does it elevate your grappling game when you're employing it back to tournaments and such?
It has elevated my game, I believe. Army National, first of all, like I said, I wouldn't have even probably thought about jiu-jitsu if it wasn't for joining the Army and getting a little taste of combatives while I was at basic training. But it has really helped me in the aspect, like I just talked about being mentally tough and going in. A lot of people say I have nice guy jiu-jitsu. I want to stay technical, but I'm not mean when I go out there. And that's one thing that it has helped me get mentally tougher when I'm in a competition. And when I was at level 3, I had the opportunity to train with a really good guy. And he really taught me the essence of drilling. And just sitting there and drilling moves and getting your repetitions in. And that, to me, has blew my game up. I mean, it has changed my whole jiu-jitsu game.
And who was that you were working with?
It was Dominic Bell. He's a purple belt in Atos in San Diego. He's there now. Yeah, and he, I was able to work with him for level 3 is 1 month long. And I was trying to pick his brain as much as I could. And he changed my whole jiu-jitsu when I got back.
So strange. Atos, do they drill there? I'm not super familiar with them. I'm not sure that that's the thing they put at the top of their pedestal. They do really well, I guess, independent of that, sure. For them.
It's funny because I was at a tournament yesterday and I ran into a guy that was at his the gym that he was at before he moved to San Diego, and he just said the same thing about how he would show up and, just drill for an hour straight before class would even start. He would just find a partner, and and that's the type of mentality that you really, I believe you probably learned that from the military as well, from combatives. It's just that being, trying to get that edge over your opponent by working hard and, getting as much repetition as you can.
That sounds like a lot of work.
And Adam, I know just in addition to all of the craziness of your life, you're also a fairly new father. So your life's in complete chaos most of the time. But you're still training constantly, and you started your own apparel company.
Yes, I did. It's a jiu-jitsu apparel company, Workhorse Jiu-Jitsu. Right now we have patches. We're working on a rash guard. They're going to be on pre-order January 19th, actually tomorrow, and pre-order till the 31st.
Pretty rash guards too. I've seen them. You got a nice.
Thank you.
I've seen them as well. Nice stuff, dude.
Thank you very much. Yeah, just Instagram, just Workhorse Jiu-Jitsu, and the Facebook page, same Workhorse Jiu-Jitsu. It just started back in December, and I've been just pushing as hard as I can. But really, it's about that mentality of being a workhorse, and that actually that came from the military as well. My first company I was in, that was our motto, or that was our name. Our nickname was Workhorse, and that to me is the essence of jiu-jitsu. I mean, just working as hard as you can to outwork your opponent. Really, I mean, to me, that's the biggest thing, and that's what what we work with.
I've rolled with Adam. He's annoyingly persistent. I can assure you.
Well, thank you.
Adam, I would like to say this. I have not rolled with you. Can we set just a ground rule real quick?
Yes.
Okay. I feel in the future our paths will cross because that's always what happens in jiu-jitsu. But can we make that ground rule of no slapping? Because I don't know what's going to happen to me if that really comes down to it. And I don't feel strong enough in my jiu-jitsu that I'll be able to be like, oh, it's on, motherfucker. I'm pretty sure crying is going to happen. And then a follow-up question, if you agree to that, do you also agree to the next time you roll with Kevin, be sure to slap him?
That sounds like a plan. Yeah, we have to find a little nice taser to throw in there. When you guys roll.
God.
You know what? I have no problem rolling
knife
with the taser
of justice.
Kevin. Because at least with Kevin, I feel we have a 50-50 shot on the two of us going, how does this work? And trying to figure it out stupidly as we go.
Being able to work it.
Right. And just be like, oh, you motherfucker, you think you have this triangle. Well, wait until I... Is there a button? Does this work?
Sir? You.
Can somebody help me with this?
Knife taser supplier. Is there
an instruction manual that I can look at real quick? Because I don't know how to
do I have to hit him with the tip, or can I just any part?
Do I punch him with the taser? Because I can do that.
I'm not going to stab him. That seems excessive. Well, Adam, we really appreciate you coming on, chatting some Combatives tournament with us. We just like hearing people that have gone through the grind, especially jiu-jitsu people that we have a particular affection for. You're always training down at Zenith Jiujitsu. I see your posts. He's one of those people that gets up at like 6:30 to go train, and I always
Boo.
I know.
Boo. No one cares.
Our first class is 6 to 8, and it literally is just a drilling class. We just get as much repetitions as we can.
Oh, yeah. You and your whole workhorse brand, we get it. Yeah. You wake up early.
Jiu-jitsu. Well, out there, there's some persistent a-hole drilling from 6 to 8.
No shit.
About your choices, America. What are you doing to stay in shape? Well, Adam, thanks so much for coming on the podcast, and we'll check in with you again soon.
Hey, thank you very much, guys, and have a great night.
Donald Cerrone wins by decision. We saw a guy's skull, and Conor McGregor tried to get a little bit in Jose Aldo's grill. Raph, what was your overall view of UFC Fight Night McGregor vs. Siver?
Interesting. I'm processing. I see a lot of people complaining about Boston judges. And, I don't know that they thought they wouldn't be crooked to begin with. Like, what do you expect from Boston judges?
Chip on their shoulder, annoying things about the Patriots, and...
You think you're better than me?
I was like, and that accent I love that Amy Poehler does, maybe?
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Okay. There were two suspect decisions. I guess the first one should be Cahal's match. Did you see that?
I saw a little bit of it. I kind of had to take the dogs out during that.
Oh, okay. It's probably a better choice. My cousin
booed decision. Like people didn't. Joe Rogan was going crazy about it on the cast.
I mean, yeah, on the podcast when he's doing it live. It was rough to watch because my little cousin put it best. He goes, the last fight of the prelims was the worst fight I've ever seen. I don't know if I'd go that far. I've seen a lot of bad matches, but I certainly wasn't all that engaged. I was definitely on my phone thinking of funny things to tweet, or I don't even know. At this point, I think I was actually scrolling through Instagram, and I saw way more entertaining things on there. So, okay, yeah, that was a weird one, but not something I was terribly upset about because it wasn't like a great fight.
Yeah.
Then we go to our main card, Gleason. Fine, sure, okay.
Yeah.
And then things started getting interesting because Uriah Hall. Do you want to take that one?
Oh, my God. You could see part of Stallings' face. His brain was coming out of his eye. It was disgusting, and it was a sharp right.
Would you have called the fight?
What?
Would you have called the fight?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was enough evidence for you to say.
Oh, God.
Nah.
Yeah, who didn't see enough for...
well, apparently Boston fans who were drunk on their recent AFC division win.
He had 2 gashes that you could have stopped the fight for. It's remarkable that Stallings didn't get knocked out, yet still took that much damage. I agree. That's remarkable.
You think you're better than me?
I do think...
Just because you got some fucking, little thing under your eye, you think you're better than me?
Did you see how
you could get back in that fight?
Quickly the doctor stopped it? He stopped it in a heartbeat. He was just like, oh, it's over. The fight's over. Like, you're not fighting anymore. He's like, what? Normally that is an excruciating decision, and it wasn't in this case, and I agree with him. It was like, oh, my God.
It was a strange thing to witness.
Sir, I can see your brain. Like, I can see it.
And I guess if you're Ron Stallings, this is a really sad moment for you. You take a fight with 1 week's notice, only to get booed in the end.
Well, fucking Boston. Boston, dare I say, was projecting. They see a lot of themselves in his gaping eye wound and was like, oh.
Said, you think your eye wound's better than mine?
So I think...
about a Ravens drunk fan in a fucking parking lot.
I think Freud's better than you guys, Boston. And I think he said some things you should read. Not the point. Uriah Hall, dominant performance.
Also winner of most unexpected post-fight win speech, politically correct.
Oh my God,
speech
I'm so glad.
Of all time.
I completely had put that on block. I'm so glad you brought that back up. Well, there was some dicey parts.
We're speech people. Let's start with that.
Yeah, I was like, he made some generalizations, some innuendos that were a little... He was with the family of some very mixed crowds and selected. It was, I understand what he was trying to do.
It's very hard to speak from the heart when you've been fighting, so we get it.
It's even harder to be articulate in a situation that has a lot of levels.
Sure.
So
that still doesn't excuse trying to find your message midway as you're talking through it. Because you're just like, guys, there's been a lot of stuff going on, and, I know you guys are all interested to hear what I have to say about it, but, stuff, it sucks, man.
Wasn't it?
So that was fun.
Unequivocally, his message, too, which is it was like, can't we just get along?
I was just short of saying, it was the UFC version of Can't We All Just Get Along. Heart in the right place, I think.
It's like, yeah, I guess that would be the really simplistic version of it. Yeah, let's just forget it happened and get along. Like, what do you? I hear you, Uriah, but maybe it's slightly more complex than that, which is why you just finished a fight, and this isn't what you should be fucking talking about. But I don't.
I guess if Uriah Hall was invited to speak at a TED Talk or any other engagement, but I don't know. Maybe you're trying to reach through to UFC fans. Maybe drunk UFC fans are the people you're trying to talk to the most. Maybe that's what he realized. He was like, this is the problem. These people. So who knows? But so that was weird. But then we get into the fight that everybody actually wants to see.
Yeah, and in a way, like, okay, tell me if I'm having trouble trying to quantify this. Like, in a way, this fight was amazing. Donald Cerrone, Cowboy Cerrone versus Benson Henderson. In a way, I also felt wildly unsatisfied by how it ended. Is that fair?
What was unsatisfactory to you?
I didn't know who won at the end of the 3 rounds. I guess the judges thought
the judges told you who won.
Yeah.
So that should be the end all be all, right?
Obviously it should. They've never screwed up before, and I've certainly never had pause to doubt them. This just felt like one of those fights where it was like, oh god, yeah, close. Jab, front kick. Did he make him wobbly? Takedown. I don't know who won. Damn it. I just wanted 2 more rounds. Strange as it is to say.
I didn't. I think I had enough evidence to see that Benson won that.
You think Benson Henderson won? You didn't think Donald Cerrone won?
No.
Interesting. So you disagree with the decision.
I liked, and Joe was commenting about this, but I liked the variations of Benson's attacks, and it was hard because they kept joking about it on the commentary team, but it was really true. I don't think that we really saw Donald Cerrone just show up to start. I don't think we really saw him go into the mode of going nuts and going crazy like we like seeing him. I think he was a little tepid, especially in that first round. I guess you could kind of make the argument it's kind of a close round. I just saw that, especially on Benson's side, he was racking up the points, maybe outpointing him like a lot of people criticize, especially Frankie Edgar in the post-fight pressers. But I think it was just with those kicks to the knee, I thought it was a strategy-based form that was really good for Benson. So I was happy to see that. And I just never saw Cowboy get on his game. In the second round, I saw the takedown. And it wasn't that Cowboy wasn't getting in good strikes here and there. I just thought that Benson, for every strike that you saw Donald Cerrone land, Benson was either countering or finding a better angle in. Because I will give you this. I thought the weirdest statistic, and maybe you can tell me differently, was that at the end of the first round, they said they put a little statistic up there that said who was pushing more of the round, like who was more aggressive in pushing the action, but not how many strikes landed.
Part of UFC's random statistics bureau, but yeah.
But sure, I mean, that statistic was definitely Donald Cerrone walking more forward, but I don't know that he was necessarily getting the better of the strikes in that first round. I just thought it was a really weird statistic to control the narrative. Anyway, your response.
They should start tracking total miles, and the guy that travels more miles should get an extra point. I just think that's maybe that it's
like a frequent flyer kind of thing.
It's exactly like that. I thought it was a good fight. I thought it was a lot of close exchanges. I guess you could certainly persuade me Benson Henderson won the fight. That's who I thought had won the fight, but I don't feel passionate about it.
What do we ever know? And I guess the other thing is we saw the return of wrestling judging tonight.
Yeah.
Which
that takedown was
can
huge.
Be interesting. Yeah, it's just I don't know. My brain was trying to work around it, and here's what you can really tell. Benson was beyond pissed afterwards, but you see the look on Cerrone's face. And you can't convince me that reaction face from him wasn't surprised because he goes, oh, shit.
I don't think that would. No, I completely agree with you. He was surprised he won the fight. I also don't think he was just like, well, fuck it. But this has been kind of a movement of the Benson Hendersons of the world. Finish a fight or two. Just finish your opponent occasionally. And maybe you get a little bit more benefit of the doubt, and that's what it felt like we might have seen. Like, well, Cerrone finishes his opponents, so why doesn't he win this fight? That's kind of where it felt like.
Maybe, but also
Cool
if you think about it,
by the way.
it's a little strange when, I guess at the end of all of it, he really does do the work to do something where you're like, you think you've made that. And you're saying that he needs to be able to knock people out. Knocking out Donald Cerrone is a tough task. So I'll give him that benefit of the doubt. I was thinking about it. I was like, what if this did go 2 more rounds like you did? And I don't know. I don't know. For whatever reason, I just thought the Donald Cerrone that we saw tonight was a little less exciting than the one that we're used to. And that's still a good fighter. It's just I kept waiting for him to pull the trigger. And, of course, towards the end of the fight, he was kind of mixing it up a little bit more. But strange fight. Strange ruling.
All 3 judges ruled the fight a little boring in the end. It's crazy. Made this decision.
So we did that. And then what happened at the very end?
Of what?
Oh, well, before we go to the obvious fight, let's talk a little bit more about Benson's post-press speech, or I guess the interview he had with Joe Rogan.
The one he compared himself to the Boston bombing and losing this fight tonight was similar to that? Is that what you're referring to?
Boston Strong. We'll skip over that one because I feel that's
felt like it was
that's a tough one.
Pretty broad metaphor. Oh, which part were you talking about?
I'm talking about the part right after
next
where
week,
I don't
where
know,
he
Kevin.
wants to
Maybe
fight in a few days. That part.
Yeah, do me a favor, Kevin. Let's just pretend I lost a fight right now, and you're interviewing me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Raph, it didn't go your way. What do you feel like you missed out on as an opportunity in this fight?
It's okay. I know it didn't go my way. Okay, I know, but I'm not gonna say excuses or say anything. I'm just gonna say, it didn't go my way. Oh yeah. Anyway, but I'm not gonna make up excuses and act like not classy. I'm just gonna say, Danaway, give me a fight. That's roughly what I think it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Benson Henderson, great fight. Thank you, Benson.
It was such a good fight.
He did have that exacerbated, I'm not gonna say a word, but that was bullshit, and I'm ready to move on. Sorry, Benny.
It's really funny when. He's ready to, give all things to Christ, and he's definitely that's his mantra, that's his thing. But when he was trying to find the words, it looked like it was going to be a non-Christly thing he was going to say, and he had to catch himself. So it was kind of, all things are
Christ,
Christ,
that
yes.
guy.
Yes. Oh, so angry that I love
Christ is amazing.
everything.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw this, but on our Facebook and our Instagram, we have a nice comparison of what he looked like, and I invite you all to go check that out at Verbal Tapcast. Let us know what you think. I think it was pretty close.
You think it was very close, or just a little?
I think it was a pretty close representation of the Benson Henderson we saw.
Well, great fight for those two guys. It'll be fun to see how they shake out that division, as it always is. Conor McGregor beats the ever-living shit out of Siver.
Yeah, man, okay. That was rough to watch for me. Was it rough to watch for you? Just from Siver's perspective, nothing against Conor McGregor. That was a true dominant performance, and I'm so happy for him to live up to the hype, and not only live up to the hype, but give us a great fight. For Dennis Siver, though.
I'm being quiet out of respect.
Whew. Why is that? Why are you being quiet out of respect?
First of all, because we saw McGregor just put him out of contention for a while, I guess we'll say. I'm sure Siver will still get maybe 1 or 2 fights, but he's definitely on the 1 or 2 fight list after tonight's performance. He also kind of got dissed by Jose Aldo. Did you notice that? When they were like, "Are you impressed with this fight?" And he was just like, "Not at all." It's oh
no. Well,
I don't think that speaks highly of Siver. And I think it kind of verifies what we all thought, which was Siver's, a good fighter. He's just had he's been a little bit more Henderson of late than, McGregor, but McGregor beat the hell out of him. And I guess gets a title shot.
Yes, he does. Well, You wouldn't have been able to guess that when Conor McGregor jumped over the octagon and then directly pointed in the face of Jose Aldo, who was just smiling. He was super entertained. Like, it was a carnival ride to him.
He did. It is really funny to think about, like, of the people you want to go as. Like, I don't know if Jose is, like, the one. He seems like one of the best street fighters, like bare knuckle people in the UFC. Like, just one of those people that has that look about him that says, I bet this motherfucker could really. You probably want to face him with the rules and the comfort of the cage with that referee with you. So just be careful, Connor.
I would also like to point out my co-host from the early late night show, Austin Stack, who's not normally a UFC guy, but he's been so transfixed by Conor McGregor. He texts me every time he's been on TV this week. And exactly. So he's been texting me and being like, Raph, this Conor McGregor guy is the greatest. How come you never told me about him? And I was like, well, I don't know. You would want to watch that. But I'm glad you are. So he's drunkenly celebrating his Patriots win, but made sure to call me and be like, Raph, is Conor McGregor gone up, or is it still like the guy with the weird beard and the white guy with the cowboy hat? And I go, well, they're done. It's coming up next. And he saw him fight, and it makes new grounds when you see Conor McGregor knows everybody's eyes are on him on this very popular sports weekend. And I think he made the most of it by doing that cage jump. I think it was genius.
Okay. He certainly won tonight's fight in stunning fashion. Like, big win.
Yes.
Cannot take that away. It was very serious, despite Joe Rogan's attempts to pump up Siver. It was a very good fight. Very impressive win by Conor McGregor. And that's UFC Fight Night. That was fun. Oof. Fun little card.
That was great.
The Cerrone Henderson really saved it. Like, that was such a fun fight.
There were a couple prelims that we were kind of watching off and on that we were fine with. But yeah, Donald Cerrone, will always watch him fight. Benson Henderson, I'm interested to see what happens to him next, especially with these. I mean, he's got a few losses, and not in a row, but he's got a few losses, and he does come back better after his losses. But I wonder if this means a kind of a little bit of a strategy shift for him coming up.
Yeah. We'll see.
It'll be interesting.
He's definitely going to be a little bit more desperate.
But can we discuss who was more correct on their predictions?
Who was you? I thought I was, given their huge embrace at the third round.
Okay. I still feel like at the very beginning, Uriah Hall punching or kicking Ron Stalling so hard he thought he was Lorenz. I think that might be accurate still.
Hard to tell. And he did, in theory, where I messed up. He elbowed some of his face off. He didn't kick it. That was my fault. That was a huge, terrible prediction on my part.
So we want to call that one a wash or what?
Yeah. Well, I'll 50-50 on that one. I think you were obviously more right than I was because I did not pick the striking correctly.
Okay.
But you might have gotten
take that more right.
Yeah, a little bit of face con. I was obviously very correct with the Cerrone thing. There was an excessive amount of embracing going on. No, bare knuckle was McGregor's Siver.
I'm sorry, you're right. Yeah, I'll give that one to you. Okay, so we're tied 1-1.
Especially that third round, like they were up each other. It was like, let's hug. They missed 7 seconds.
So the last one was, I predicted that I think it was Conor McGregor was going to. Hold on. What was he going to do? It was Dennis Siver. I don't know. What did I predict? What do you predict?
I predicted they would throw money in the middle of the cage and bare knuckle it.
I was wrong. That was close.
They did not do
it. It was close, but it's not right. No, they did not. Not this time.
No. They teased him. That's obviously what's happening next. You predicted Siver would get knocked out with his words. He would just give up because McGregor wouldn't shut up.
I think I was pretty close.
You were, yeah, maybe. I mean, it's as good a explanation as anything about what we saw.
Yeah, exactly. So All right. Well, that was a good exercise. We'll have to do that the next time we're watching a fight live when we do one of these.
Which means it's time for shout-outs. Yeah. Shout out to Early Late Night for letting me make a tiny cameo to plug the podcast. Big thanks over to Raf's show. Great picture of you with the JJ Brohood crew and Amici. That was awesome. My shout-outs, BJJ Finder. Of course, the world's premier jiu-jitsu site locator. Had a blast training BJJ and MMA Academy this past few weeks. Got my Navy grab and pull gi on. You can expect a review coming very shortly, Rafa Esparza, especially after I figure out what's going on with this knee business and the injury side of worlds.
I'm sorry.
It happens. You know, I train. I live life on the edge. I live life dangerously, obviously. That's all I got on the shout-out worlds.
Let's go ahead and start by shouting out Valley Martial Arts Center.
B to the M to the A.
It's always so weird. Oh, my goodness. It was a great day of training. We had an open mat today. Guys made me work for it. It was awesome. Let's go ahead and shout out. We got a new member of our academy. Let's go ahead and shout out Jeff. Jeff is coming to us. And he's been training for a little while, but really solid stuff, man. He's a great person to roll with. I think he was hell bent on trying to armbar me today, and I was just like, look, I need this arm. This is my podcasting arm. Don't do that.
I need this arm to podcast.
You think this podcast makes itself with just one arm?
Yeah.
Jesus.
That's not how it works.
But he was so much fun to roll with, and really, really cool, and seems like he'll be a great addition, and was really, really cool with a lot of the guys. So we're excited to have him, and congratulations on being part of the team. So let's go there. Let's also shout out our good friend Alex Perez. Earlier this week, Alex Perez started teaching over at King's Combat, and it's out in Chatsworth, California. Alex is teaching Tuesdays and Thursdays, 6:30 to 8. So if you happen to be in that area, go take one of his classes. Alex is one of the guys who rolls at the Jean-Jacques Academy, so you can kind of tell his technique's pretty good. But his level of instruction, I was very impressed. And if there's anything Kevin and I are actually really good at evaluating, it's the orator skills of jiu-jitsu instructors.
Yeah.
So if there is one area that we can always lend our voice to, I can tell you with good authority, Alex is a fantastic jiu-jitsu instructor. So many props to him. I look forward to seeing his he's going to raise a band of killers. I'm convinced, Kevin. Like all of his he's going to create the Killers, the 2004 glam rock band. No, he's going to have some really, really good kids. Like the people who I was rolling with there, after only a little bit of instruction with him, already had really good grips, already had really, really good fundamentals. So it'll be interesting to revisit them and see as they develop and grow. So that is King's out in Chatsworth, California. They're a Taekwondo school that's ginormous. They have enough space to do Taekwondo classes for like a huge set and also a huge BJJ class. So props to them. I can't wait to go back there. Yeah, it's pretty sick, dude. And then let's go ahead and shout out our good friend Nick Gregoratis and Amici Akpom. We went down there to do a little bit of technique instructions, and it was cool catching up with Nick, especially after seeing him commentate at Polaris. Nick, of course, famously was one of the commentators at Polaris, and also is part of the Jiu-Jitsu Brotherhood. So fun times talking with him. And, we actually got an interview with him that we'll be putting up on verbaltapcast.com at some point, probably in the next week or so. So keep a lookout for that. And keep a lookout for Amici. Amici put a really good Jiu-Jitsu BJJ training journal kind of update on keeping all your goals. So I would highly recommend you guys use that to figure out what you want to do for the next year. He makes it really easy to use. And it was just cool. Those two guys couldn't be nicer. And, of course, our good friends at Systems Training Center. Thank you guys for being such great hosts. I specifically want to shout out Marcus Koval, Dimitri Gerasim Gigapet.
Garbi's
Garbardavi?
Garbidavi's mom.
Oh, Garbardavi. Yeah, no, I know him. And, of course, did I say John Robles? And shout out to our good friend Albert Morales for his Bellator debut win via rear naked choke. Couldn't be happier for that. It's a great weekend for Systems Training Center. And a very big congratulations to Marcus Koval for being the very first chess jiu-jitsu champion.
No shit.
Yeah, do you know how he did it?
How?
Checkmate.
No.
I believe, they say the 4th round?
What a
something like that.
He's a smooth operator, you know?
Yep.
Smooth operator. All right, Raph. That's going to do it for us tonight here at Verbal Tap. I'm Kevin. Thanks for listening.
Good night and good fight, everybody.
Now I'm going to put that argument we had as we started the podcast.
At the end here?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm going to hit record.
Okay.
One.
I'm sorry. You didn't tell me it was going to be a sound check. You said you're going to press record. 2.
1.
2.
Okay.
What's wrong with you? Tell me you're going to do a sound check.
It's not the hardest thing to initiate by just saying 1. I don't need to say.
No, it's not. You just sound like a fucking broken robot.
Scenario, I have to say 1 again. That's the worst case scenario.
You said I'm going to press record, which is different.
Because you didn't feel like you said 2 as quickly as you're capable of saying 2.
Because I'm waiting, and I'm like, okay, I need to be ready to fucking be funny and bring it like I normally do on the show.
Okay, look,